The major difference between Noragami Episode 1 and Noragami Chapter 1, The Man in the Sweatsuit, and Chapter 2, The House Cat, The Stray Cat, and The Tail would have to be the character Mutsumi. Basically, in the first episode, Mutsumi's character was shown off as a girl who was basically frightened by the Akashi, while others were staring as well, and being a very odd different clothing. Obviously, everyone else was wearing black clothing, while she was wearing a light blue tea vest, because of the fact that she was treated very differently. But all of this was basically explained in the manga, why everyone was staring at her, why she could see the Akashi. But Bone Studio decided to actually cut all of her development basically in the first chapter. So majority of the first chapter in the manga was actually shown of her character, even why she called Yato, how Yato received the 5 yen as well, why she was even praying in the first episode. Basically, even majority of the dialogue to Ikihori in the anime was actually shown off first to Mutsumi. Basically, Yato explained everything to Mutsumi first, who the Akashi was, the gods, the blind spots, the near shore, the far shore, even the good Ayakashi, the bad Ayakashi, the blessings, and even the positioning of Tomone's character was even shown off more in the first chapter, because obviously in the first episode always Tomone did was basically say that Ayakashi, then she left afterwards. But really in the first chapter you could see that we could see why she even buried through Yato for 3 struggle months as well. Obviously even how Yato was treating everybody else. We got to see Yato's dark side, his light side, both combined in the first chapter of the first episode, just to make Yato look like an ultimate badass, while the first chapter was actually to make Yato look like a ordinary person. The way Yato's character was introduced in the first episode of Noragami and Chapter 1 of Noragami was actually very different. In the first episode, Yato was introduced as a person who basically saved the Akashi with absolute ease, basically his other personality being the war god, who actually has a lot of experience fighting Akashi in a very calm, collected way. But in the manga, actually, for Chapter 1, he was introduced very differently. After receiving the phone call from Mutsumi, he basically decides to go all directly to Mutsumi by teleporting into her with Tomone, and basically he decided to go into the girl's washroom or the girl's bathroom on top of her, basically appear on top of the stall, introduce himself in a very comedic kind of way, a person who doesn't really care about anything. This sounds familiar. It kind of introduces other 2 personalities. So Bone Studio decided to introduce him as a badass and eventually show his comedic manner, but obviously the mangaka decided to introduce Yato in a very comedic way and then show his badass and cold way. So kind of introduce them very 2 different ways, kind of 2 polar opposite way of introducing him. And another interesting fact is in the first episode, after dealing with the Akashi, Tomone decides to quit because she can't stand obviously Yato's ways. But actually after seeing the Akashi in the manga, however, they decided to go check if Mutsumi's classmates were all right after seeing the Akashi, due to obviously the stress and the Akashi being formed by this depressing state of mind. But however, things did not get resolved, and Yato had to cut ties with obviously Tomone towards the end of the chapter, and also towards the start of the episode. So kind of in a way, start of the episode in the anime, obviously Tomone and Yato go their ways. In the end of the chapter, however, Tomone and Yato go their ways. So it's kind of different in the way they introduce Yato, and even cut their friendship, or they cut their little clientship off. In Chapter 2 of the manga for Noragami, The House Cat, The Stray Cat, and The Tail, we can see Yato having a dream or vision about being the very top of the god hierarchy, being with everyone presenting him with things, of having so many servants and so many shinkis, everything by his side. But that gets interrupted when obviously Tomoe says hates him with every fiber of being, and he wakes up from the dream saying that this was a dream. However, in the anime adaptation, this scene was cut off and obviously replaced with a scene with him just graffitiing the wall with his number. Eventually he gets a phone call and it says my lord is missing, which is actually the name of the little boy's cat that we see in the anime. After basically receive the cat, he instantaneously teleports to actually find the cat. In the manga, however, actually Yato did teleport to the little boy's house, and he actually found the little boy and actually talked to him about the fact that his cat was missing. And was wondering why did he tell Yato to find his little cat, he should put it in the Mellow Pages, which was actually a little parody, little spin-off of the Yellow Pages, which actually people use Yellow Pages to find assistance so people can fix houses and all that stuff. I think most of us know what a Yellow Page is. So basically but Yato did put the number and everything else in the Yellow Pages. Obviously then Kechi, basically the little boy, decides to pay Yato the 5 yen to obviously go find his cat, my lord. And then that's basically how the scene was. I found that really interesting because obviously that scene would have been really awesome to add, because it would have added more of a depth to it. Obviously we just saw Yato get the phone call, and we thought from somebody really important like an adult or whatever, but we found out from a little boy who basically just wanted to find his missing cat, which I just found really awesome. But In chapter 2 of Noragami, Yato makes a comment that finally somebody actually made eye contact with him, and he doesn't care the fact that obviously he blends into the background, people should notice him more often. However, in the anime, he did not make a comment and he just moved along to try to find the cat. I found this scene a little bit interesting and I wish they added in. Obviously, these little tidbit scenes I wish they add in because it just shows more of Yato's character. Because obviously, the whole eye contact thing obviously just shows that, he wants people to actually see him. That's one reason why he wants to get a shrine, because he doesn't want to be below in the divine hierarchy obviously to get, a shrine so more people can pray to him, more people can notice him as well. And that little scene showed kind of his desire for people to make eye contact with him. Even though he does blend into the background very well, he just wishes more people noticed him. In chapter 2 of the manga, we can see that after the accident with Ikihiro trying to save Yato from the bus in the hospital, Yato actually snuck into the hospital. In the anime, he just randomly came into the hospital. So the manga actually showed the 3 panels that basically decided, look through the window very mysterious like and just come in. In the anime, it just randomly popped into basically her bed or whatever. Obviously, that does sound wrong if you haven't seen Noragami, but you can perceive it how you like. So basically, anime and manga had very similar scene in this, but it's actually very different. After this scene, this is very crucial basically. In the manga, Ikihiro asks, "Who are you?" And Yato says, "I will not telling you because obviously, I don't want to be associated with you right now because I don't want to pay your medical bill." However, in the anime, when Ikihiro asks, "Who are you?" he basically says, "I am a god. I am Yato." Basically, I'm trying to make a shrine. I'm gonna be an all big god, whatever. And she calls the police. This guy claiming to be a god, whatever, which is actually a very crucial scene because the fact that basically Yato saying, "I'm not telling you right now," and then Yato saying, "I'm going to tell you right now who I am," is very important towards the end of the chapter as well. And then obviously, when Ikihiro basically was going to go find the cat my lord to basically get the answers she needed to basically get her memory back from the accident or whatever, and to actually see if she can find Yato. Basically when she says I had to go to my endeavors to find my lord, very joking like. In the manga, her friends decided to go actually drop her off to the alley whatever. In the anime, she just went there by herself, her friends weren't even there. That's a very little scene, and it doesn't really matter if her friends dropped her off to the alley or not, but just a little scene that kind of would have been really funny to see as well, and kind of cool too, because that would just show her friends truly do care about her. But maybe I'm making a big deal of that little scene, but it's just something I wanted to really compare. During the first episode, during the Phantom Frog scene or the Frog Akashi scene was actually relatively same from the manga itself. The fight scene, however, but during the dialogue between Hiyori and Yato is actually very different. In the anime, actually, since Hiyori basically knows who Yato is, obviously, he says, he said his spirit is showing everything else, and then he obviously explains to Hiyori who he actually explained to Mutsumi in the manga, basically. The first scene in the manga was actually explained to Hiyori during, the Frog Phantom scene, the Frog Akashi scene, basically, who the Phantoms are, what they do, basically, the far shore, the near shore, the whole, gods, basically, and demons, and Hakashis go into your blind spot, whatever, and then obviously the episode ends off that way, and then obviously, Yato then gets the money from Hiyori, basically, says, "Can you help me get, my body back to normal so I don't really slip out my body anymore?" He gives her basically the 5 yen, and then all is well, and the episode ends. However, in the manga, this is actually played out very differently, basically, and this kind of shows Yato's thievery side, basically. So after, basically, obviously, they defeat the Frog Phantom. In the manga, here he actually asks, "Who are you?" whatever, and then he explains, that you've fallen out your body, that your spirit is showing, and that you became believing in Akashi, and eventually, through, mastery and through actually learning your own body, you can actually learn to, fall out of your body on your own. And then she said, obviously that I don't really understand what you're saying, and she says, "You fall out of your body a lot on your own now." Basically, how can I fix this? You just have to learn to live with it. And then she goes unconscious. Obviously, Yato carries her out of the way, obviously, like a proper person would, basically, to make sure she doesn't really fall into the ground for like a long time and goes back home safely. She wakes up and accuses him of being a pervert, decides to call the police, and also did the same little thing in the anime as well. So, says, police, whatever, I'm being by a guy who's basically a god, whatever. Yato reveals that he's actually a god to Hiyori at the end of chapter 2, whatever. And then eventually he says, he says Ikihiro, and it's like, she's like, "How do you know my name?" And then obviously and then he had a 5 yen coin with her and say, "Your prayer has been answered." And the prayer that was actually, to help her to basically get her body back to normal. And then towards the end of the chapter 7, a little, little side card basically said, "Here's your wallet, by the way, here's a change, everything else." So basically, he took her wallet to basically get the 5 yen coin and everything else, and actually saw her student ID, and that is the end of the chapter. Alright folks, that is my Noragami episode 1 to chapter 1 and chapter 2 comparison. I will be doing more comparison videos in the future. I actually did want to do this comparison video due to how different the anime and the manga is. That is basically all the differences that I could find. If you guys found any other differences between the other volumes of Noragami in episode 2 and 3, let me know in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to let me know. This is a new type of video. I've never done this video on any other channel or anything else I've done. It was really interesting, really fun to do the research. I just really love reading the first volume over and over again, you know, watching the episode in the English dub. The Funimation obviously decided to dub Noragami, and it is available on Blu-ray at the time of release of this video as well. And the manga is actually available in English, which is how I actually read this manga. I actually read it from Code Nash Comics, basically Noragami. I own the official volume 1. If you've seen my pickup series, basically I decided to own volume 1. And I was like, you know what, I want to reread Noragami again just to get ready for season 2. So I'll be doing maybe a couple more Noragami videos to get my excitement for season 2, you know, hype for season 2 here. So, I'll see you guys later. See ya.